What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball, and more importantly, welcome back to the spreadsheet that holds our season preview series. This is the series where we're breaking down all 30 NBA teams before the start of the regular season. We're going really in depth in these videos, and we're going into the Utah Jazz today. We're going to be talking about goals for them, what their offseason looked like, a complete roster and asset breakdown, rotations, lineups. We'll do some mock trades, everything that you need to be ready for the Utah Jazz season. And like I said, we're going to be breaking down all 30 teams. That way you guys are nice and prepared and ready for another fun basketball season. But before we go and do that, make sure that you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment on my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. It's the dead point in the season, so I'm never expecting like tremendous views on any of these videos, but if you want to show them some support so that we know that we want to do something like this next year, if it is something that we want to do, show these videos some love. There was a lot that we tried to do to keep the off-season fun and exciting. We already have probably like 2 or 3 of these videos up by the time you guys are seeing this. The Philadelphia one just dropped today. I'm recording this on Monday. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to breaking down the Jazz. Let's get into it. And that brings us back here to the season preview spreadsheet. If you guys are curious, I build a lot of these spreadsheets to kind of help articulate and visualize the stories that I tell on this YouTube channel. I don't know, I just like spreadsheets. It is what it is. I can build whatever I want with them. If you guys want this spreadsheet, it's pretty easy to get access to it. If you go down into the description of this video, you'll see a link to join my Discord. It's completely free. Hop on there, go over to the announcements channel, and you'll see a link to download this spreadsheet. I'm having to update it with data all the time, so just know that it's always being updated as we kind of go throughout this process, but you're free to download it there and make whatever you want, post it on the Discord, have some fun with it. But anyway, the Utah Jazz. Let's go over to the intro tab first, where we kind of just like to give a little bit of background on what happened this last season, what are some goals we have going forward. The Jazz had a not great season last year. They were the worst team in the NBA, and it was pretty intentional what they were trying to do, right? They saw Cooper Flag at the top of this draft, and they're like, all right, we've been waiting, right? This team has been pretty obviously strategically waiting for the right draft class to try to pounce on somebody and say, okay, this is our guy for the future, because the Utah Jazz, well, they don't attract free agents, right? And they kind of have to build their own talent from within, which historically they're actually pretty good at. It's a pretty well-run organization from everything I hear, pretty set on winning at all times, and they just know the only way to do it is to build up through the draft and develop their own players. So they said, all right, we see Cooper Flag, we're going to do that. But worst case scenario, we get like one of the other top 4 picks, because these top 4 guys look like they could be all NBA potential one day. We're talking about Dylan Harper, VJ Edgecombe, Ace Bailey, and then after everything happened that last season where they just kept losing and losing and losing, they had the worst case scenario and fell all the way to the 5th pick in the draft. Absolute doomsday scenario. But some shenanigans happened during the offseason with a Mr. Ace Bailey. He says, I'm not going to any of these teams. And then Utah Jazz said to Ace Bailey, guess what, dude? Fuck you. You're going to go join our team anyway, which was awesome. They took him in, and he seems like he's ready to go now. So I think it ended up working out okay for the Jazz. Well, I'm sure they would have liked to have Cooper Flag. They still got someone with immense talent to kind of start their rebuild. Looking forward into this season, it's probably going to be a bit of the same. So let's start talking about it. Last year, league worst record, 17-65. That's brutal. That's really brutal. I've got them as a rebuilding franchise. Probably no surprise by that if you're new to the channel. I've got a couple different categories for what your franchise status could be. You've got selling teams. Those are teams that are actively trying to tear down what they have. You have rebuilding, meaning we don't even have the base of the team in place yet. We're still trying to figure out the base right now. That's where the Jazz are. Then you have growing, meaning you figured out like what your kind of core is going to be. Now, how do we kind of start to build them up into being contenders? Then you have contenders, and then we have who the fuck knows, because I'm sure we'll get to use that at some point down the line. But let's talk about goals and expectations, right? So this team, not going to be good at basketball again, most likely this year. In the past couple seasons, if you guys have been paying attention and remember, I know that we struggle a lot of times nowadays to remember more than like 1 month in the past at a time. Please try to have a memory. History class is important for a reason, because it's important to learn from previous instances of things. The Jazz, usually get off to kind of hot starts, actually, over the past couple seasons. I know that seems weird because they've always finished pretty low, but those couple seasons with like Lowry Markkanen and group, like they were rolling early and like really winning because they're an organized group. They got good coaching, all of this stuff. And then the Jazz, like, okay, look, we're not really trying to win like that many games right now. We eventually do need to rebuild a little bit. So they kind of start to throw with some other guys on the basketball court. But just know that the Jazz tend to come out a little bit hot like that. Again, they're well prepared, well disciplined, that kind of shit could happen, but this team most likely isn't going to be very good next year because they still have a lot to do in terms of their rebuild. So goals, get young guys on the floor. There's a lot of young talent on this basketball team that we're trying to figure out. A couple of them just joining the team this year, obviously Ace Bailey being the primary one. Got to get them on the floor, get them learning and stuff, and just seeing who's even going to stick, right? Because not all of them are guaranteed to stick. I can guarantee you most of them probably won't, because that's just how it works in the NBA, right? Most of them worked, or most of them won't. Next thing, follow the AVC tanking playbook. There's a lot of details to going with that, right? It's not like I have a trademark or anything for this. It's what we all know is proper tanking, right? We look for people on not so great contracts that teams are trying to get rid of. We buy them basically for draft picks. Doing things like that, not just trading people to trade people. You keep enough vets on the team to kind of help young guys grow. All the things that you guys hear me talk about on the YouTube channel all the time. There's a certain way to kind of grow your team. The Jazz, like I said, do seem to kind of have a good grip on that, so I'm not too worried about them. This organization doesn't tend to be out of the playoffs for too long. We've had a little bit of a longer stretch here, but again, strategic tanking and when you go to draft people is kind of their thing. Final thing, don't, and I emphasize don't, trade Lowry and Walker unless it's an insane offer. Walker Kessler, good young basketball player, not really helping you win a ton of games right now anyway, but extremely effective. Just keep him on the team now for some consistency. Lowry Markkanen takes a lot of pressure off the young guys you're trying to build right now. He is a phenomenal basketball player, borderline all-star at all times. He likes to be on your team. Just hold on to him, right? He's not going to prevent you from tanking or anything. You were the worst team last year with him. So just hold on to him. It's going to be beneficial to hold on to your two big old white boys right there and just help the young guys kind of grow on the team, right? They're going to be valuable for that reason. So now that we kind of have established the goals, where we're at right now, what we're trying to do with this team, I just hope that we keep that in mind as we kind of go throughout the rest of this video. But let's kind of talk about what their off-season looked like. Alrighty, the off-season tab right here. If you guys watched this series last year on my channel, which I don't know why you'd care to watch it at this point, but you could if you really wanted to. Maybe you just want to stroll down memory lane and see where we were kind of thinking with certain teams. But we basically used this format last year to kind of take a look at an off-season. We have three categories of things. We have drafted players, so players that they drafted that are going to be on the full-time roster this year. Yes, they took one other guy, but it doesn't look like he's on the full-time roster yet. He might later, but at the time of recording this, he's not. Player departures, players that were on the full-time roster last year that are no longer on it this year. And then players brought in, same thing. So players that were not on the roster last year that are now going to be on the full-time roster as of recording this. Again, I'm putting a lot of stipulations because this roster is definitely going to change a little bit more before the start of the regular season and into training camp. But let's start at the top with drafted players. We already talked about Ace Bailey. If you guys want a breakdown on these guys, I know I'm plugging a bunch of things. I went and broke down like all the top prospects going into this year. And look, I covered this draft like professionally, like that's something I did for like my job this year, right, as I worked for a team and evaluated these guys. So if you want to hear some opinions on them, that's a place you can do it. We did a whole bunch of draft content on here, but I think Ace Bailey has the highest potential out of anybody that came in this draft. I really do. I mean, 6'9", 6'10", EVC, he measured this at the combine. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, your boy was there. Motherfucker's not that short. I promise you. I'm 6'5". I measure myself every year just to make sure. I go stand next to people, and I've been next to other people that are at like certain heights. That motherfucker's a lot bigger than 6'7" or whatever they measured him at. I promise you. I don't know how we can't measure people. I don't know how. I'm like, I took the tape measure, did it myself. I'm like, nope. I don't. So I don't understand. I don't understand why we can't do it right. But anyway, Ace Bailey, big ass dude, great athlete, and can shoot the shit out of the basketball already. Like, scoring is what this guy can do. Obviously, there's some stuff to improve on with the handle and like some of the playmaking, but like got great instincts, crashes to the glass hard, like projects to be a good defensive player. Like this guy has so much talent, it's not even funny. And honestly, if you ask a lot of NBA players, they're gonna tell you like, oh yeah, this kid could be better than all of them. Like it's not even funny everything that he can do. He's in a more athletic Michael Porter Jr. or a much more athletic Michael Porter Jr. It's crazy. So don't get tripped up on the fact that like maybe the ball handling isn't like elite right now. He's got so many other things. People said that about like Amen Thompson coming in. They're like, well, he can't shoot the basketball right now. It's like, well, he's good at so many other things already. Most rookies aren't. Like, you just got to appreciate those things. Yes, he had the whole stuff during the offseason of like, don't draft me. Well, more so his agent was saying like, don't draft me or whatever. His agent's a dum-dum. Just don't worry about it. You really don't have to deal with the agent anymore now that like he's not going to be in contract negotiations for a while. Hopefully some people on the team tell his agent to go buzz off because he's not even a legal agent anyway, but is what it is. Other guy they took in the first round was Walter Clayton Jr., another guy I was pretty big on, man. This guy is an offensive powerhouse at the point guard position, obviously coming off a national championship, can shoot the ball from a lot of different places, and more importantly, can play without the basketball, too. Kind of like he played a very much like a Steph Curry type of role for them, which is cool. I'm not saying he's as good as Steph Curry, but he's got a lot of the similar like tendencies in play style. He's very smooth and balanced now. He's strong, sneaky, athletic, and actually a pretty solid defensive player already. So I think you got great value in Walter Clayton with where you took him, and he's certainly going to have a chance to be on the basketball court this year. So I think the Jazz did great in the draft, and we might see some John Tonji on the roster at some point. Another guy that I had as a potential first-round talent that they got late in the second round. So hope to see him on the roster at some point. Player departures. First one we got is Colin Sexton, one of their leading scorers from this last season. Colin Sexton, as always, really nice offensive player in the NBA, pretty horrible defensive player, despite giving a very good effort every night. Is really bad at it, and you're going to hear me say really bad at defense a lot during this video, because the Jazz were butt booty buns at it this last year. Just so many bad individual defenders on the team. So just take that as you will, is what it is. The Colin Sexton trade was weird. We kind of figured there's some teams that could use a Colin Sexton that the Jazz can utilize. They don't need to have him on the team anymore. Let's just move him, right? And then they paid someone else to take him, and they got back a player that like costs like more money at a position that they don't need as much in Jusuf Nurkic. It was one of the weirder trades this offseason. It didn't really make any sense to me. Don't understand why they did it. Weird move, in my opinion. Next one was John Collins. They didn't need John Collins on the team anymore. They kind of just freed up the rotation space. John Collins has been a sneaky good player for this team for some time now. Extremely efficient, a solid all-around forward that can play some center. He is now in the Clippers. He will be missed, but there's a lot of young players on this team that play that position that are going to be happy to get some of the minutes. Jordan Clarkson, never the best fit here in Utah. Like, just wasn't very efficient in anything that he did. He hasn't been able to kind of grab that six-man shine that he had at one point, but they did buy him out, so the Jazz are still kind of paying him for this season, but he is now with the Knicks. Johnny Juzang, younger guy that pretty solid overall efficiency in terms of shooting the basketball for this team over the past, how long has he been on the team? Like 2 years, maybe more? I don't remember. But doesn't really do a whole bunch else defensively. Like, oh, really rough defensively. Can't really play make or do things like that. So he's kind of falling out of things. It looks like, I think he got put on like an Exhibit 10 deal or something, potentially a two-way with Minnesota, if I remember correctly. So he'll have a chance to work his way back into the league. Then Jaden Springer, kind of a combo guard that hasn't quite been able to find his footing in the NBA yet. He is not going to be coming back. They acquired him in a trade last year that was just kind of bound to happen. Or did he get bought out from Houston, or did they move him again? I don't remember exactly, but anyway, he's just not going to be on the team this year, and you're not missing out on too terribly much. Who are the other new faces on the team? We have Georges Niang, who is back with Utah. He's been here before. So Jazz fans, you should be familiar. Dude can shoot the ball. Dude can certainly shoot the ball. Not the greatest defensive player, unfortunately, so that problem continues to compound, it would seem. Doesn't do a whole bunch else for you, but he's a tough, annoying motherfucker. That's, solid to have a guy like that on your team. So there's Georges Niang. Adding to the white guys that now play in Utah, because we always have to have a certain quota of those. Jusuf Nurkic. Again, we don't know why they went and got him for Colin Sexton, and they gave up a pick for it. Jusuf Nurkic hasn't been playing great basketball as of late. Defensively, he's actually been fine overall. Like, there's a lot of lazy plays that happen, but overall, he's a pretty positive defensively. But offensively, he was really bad last year. Really bad. It just was not coming together. He just continues to look slower and slower and more out of shape. Even in FIBA, I mean, he's playing pretty solid, but he still just looks slow out there, man. He looks slow. So he's probably going to get some burn this year because he is good enough. This isn't a great basketball team overall, but We'll see if he makes it through the whole season with them. Kyle Anderson, who they got as a part of the John Collins trade here. Actually, both Kyle Anderson and Kevin Love. Look, we all know what slow-mo can do, and that's play very slow half-court basketball. He's a good passer, never going to be crazy efficient from anywhere on the basketball court unless he's getting that little floater that he likes to do once he gets inside the free throw line. The shot form is going to be wonky. He's going to be like at least fine defensively. He's never going to make too many mistakes, not going to do anything too crazy either. So just quality veteran player to have on the team, which, you know, he's been around a lot of good basketball in his career. So good guy just to have as a vet on the bench. Then speaking of elite vets, you got Kevin Love on the team right now. The Jazz currently have too many people on roster. I can't imagine Kevin Love at this point in his career wants to play for the Utah Jazz. You have to imagine he wants to be on a good contending team. I don't expect Kevin Love to be on this roster by opening night, but he is on the team as of this moment. So that was kind of the offseason right there. Really, really good draft in my opinion. The Jazz had one of the better drafts. I thought they lost out on some pretty damn good basketball players right here. Again, it's not like they were helping you win that much anyway, but maybe you feel like you could have gotten more value for these guys. So I can understand if you're maybe a little bit frustrated with that. I don't think it's the worst management of assets, but I think it could have been better for sure. And then you brought in some faces, like some quality veteran players, if nothing else, so that your team isn't completely buns. You don't want your team to be so terrible, right? Because otherwise your young players pick up bad habits and you don't correct those. So I think they at least have a good balance of vets to young guys on the team now. So with kind of all that being said, let's move on to the complete roster breakdown. Alrighty, y'all, back on this tab. If you guys have been watching my channel any amount of time, you're pretty familiar with this type of tab. We use it in the ideal off-season series, the off-season kind of tracker series. This is just like a really cool way to kind of take a look at a bunch of different things at once in kind of an organized fashion on an NBA team. So we have a current roster right here that's full of a bunch of different little analytics that we'll talk about. We've got some depth charts here that definitely will make some people mad at some point because y'all just can't help yourselves, you dumbasses in the comments. You've got kind of total salary cap implications for the team and then some draft assets. And once we're done with this, we'll kind of talk about some trade scenarios and ideas that I have for this team. But first, let's start off with kind of the roster itself and kind of what we're looking at. So if you're new to the channel, what are these numbers right here? These are EPM numbers. These stand for estimated plus minus. Estimated plus minus is basically this really, really advanced statistic that we have that tells you how good somebody is at offense, defense, and overall as a basketball player in the NBA. I then take those numbers and normalize them, index them, whatever you kind of want to call it, so that way you can get a 0 to 100 score, saying how good somebody is compared to everyone else in the NBA at all of those kind of three things. And because I'm the guy that owns the basketball statistics company and has to tell you all of this, no stat is perfect, right? No stat can ever just grab all the context that's needed to explain a statistic. That's why you need people with critical thinking skills to take a look at a number and kind of tell the story behind it. But just know these numbers are never absolute, but they do a pretty good job overall of telling a story. So that's kind of why we have them on the screen. So let's start off at the top. We got Lauri Markkanen, the guy that you're probably watching in FIBA right now, just absolutely dominate everybody. Don't forget that Lauri Markkanen is a phenomenal basketball player. Again, somebody that has dragged this Utah Jazz core that is not very good to some winning situations. Even if it doesn't last very long, it's quite an accomplishment in and of itself. Last season, they didn't play Lauri quite so much because they were obviously trying to bottom out a little bit there last year. Still really, really great offensively despite all that. Just kind of ignore the defense. Like I said, it was a rough season overall. There wasn't any like good defensive players around him either. Lauri Markkanen's pretty quality on all sides of the basketball. Somebody's revving their engines outside right now. What the fuck are people doing? Look, y'all, I'm just gonna say it. If you like rev your engine and like love doing shit like that in like community neighborhoods or even just like by yourself in some like backcountry shit or whatever, I'm just telling you, you got small genitals. I'm just being real with you. You're a loser and you got small genitals. You get off to that shit, it's weird. Anyway, let's get back to basketball. Lauri Markkanen, his extension's kicking in and everything. He's with the group for a while. He really likes playing in Utah from everything that I hear. Reminds him a lot of home, which take that as you will. I don't know what that tells you about Finland, that it's a lot like Utah. I've never been to Finland, but really, really good basketball player. It's important to have guys like this on the basketball team when you're kind of trying to build up a young core, because again, Lauri's going to be the first guy on the scouting report every single night. That gives you some of your other young guys a little bit of freedom to actually try to get themselves going in the NBA and get their footing under them. It's good for them. Already talked about Nurkic, talked about Kyle Anderson, Ace Bailey, the young man himself. You'll notice there's no stats here for him. Look, he hasn't played in the NBA yet. I'm not going to project his EPM or anything. I just don't think that's actually worth doing. EPM actually can do that, but you kind of have to have some prior data in order to do an expected calculation of that. So just know that I'm not going to be projecting anything for the young guys. I already talked about Georges Niang. KJ Martin, a guy that ended up on this team, hasn't been the most productive NBA player overall, extremely good athlete with some solid size. His contract is not guaranteed, and I wouldn't be surprised if they just don't bring him back regardless, because he's making about $8 million. You kind of just don't need him on the team at this point, so I expect him to kind of be off the roster before the start of the season. Taylor Hendricks, a first-round pick from a couple years ago. Don't look at his stats at all, because dude played like 3 games last year and then had a season-ending injury. We hope that he'll be able to come back this year and show us something, because we just haven't seen much of him in 2 years yet because of injuries and just kind of not being ready for NBA basketball quite when he got drafted, so take that as you will. Cody Williams, a guy that unfortunately gets made fun of by my comment section a lot on the channel, because statistically he was the worst player in basketball last season, and that's both statistically and on the eye test, man. We knew that Cody was going to be raw coming into the NBA this last year. I think he was like the 10th pick or something. It was rough last year. He looked very uncomfortable at times, just was not able to produce much at all. Like, even like the solid defensive player he was supposed to be just wasn't really showing. There'd be games where he just didn't even shoot the basketball. It was rough. Only up from here, though. At some points during college, you saw a 6'9" wing that could handle the ball a little bit, knew how to operate in the pick and roll. Don't write people off, guys. Just don't. It doesn't make sense to. It takes a while to get your footing in the league, right? It's hard. Guys take a while to develop more often than not. We all look at like the Lucas and we're like, that's what it's supposed to look like. No, dum-dums, it's not. I promise you. The best thing about a freshman is they become a sophomore, is what I always say. And that's what we're hoping for Cody Williams in his sophomore season, is that it gets better. Walker Kessler, one of the few bright spots on this team overall last year. He was, if not, was he the leader in field goal percentage this last year in the NBA? He might have been. Awesome defensive presence. We all know that. Like, you're always going to be an okay defense with him on the court because he's such an elite rim protector. He moves well. And now when he's underneath the basket, man, he's putting that bitch in. He is dunking that shit or getting it up and in somehow. So Walker Kessler, just quality big man that you can have on your team for a long time. Should be a starter in the NBA for a long time. Got to get him an extension at some point. Got to get him an extension. Keontae George, another young fella on the team, a former first-round pick that showed a little bit more than we expected. He's kind of a combo guard that gets like really high assist numbers and stuff, that isn't so bad at like converting at the basket, right? There's moments where he can get really hot from 3 and you're like, okay, this guy's an offensive powerhouse, but he is a disaster defensively. Like, it is rough out there right now. Again, young players, it's tough. You got to figure it out. But oh boy, it's rough for him. He is not a good defensive player. And again, you guys see all the red that's on the screen right now. There are a lot of people that are bottom of the barrel defensively, but oh boy, is Keontae George not good at it. Man, out of position, gets bullied because he's a little bit skinnier, like can't really contest shots, so gets tricked a lot. It's rough. It's rough, man. He gets scored on a lot. I actually watched some film on it not too long ago, but hey, only up from here, right? Only up from here. All you can do is learn. He's a good athlete, and he's got some solid size. We can figure it out. We can. We already talked about Kevin Love, Walter Clayton. Svi Mikhailuk is on the team, traditionally like a spacing wing, and that's about it. Wasn't the most effective this last year. Again, not a very good basketball team. The guys like Svi Mikhailuk kind of need a good team around them to get anything going, so take that as you will. Kyle Filipowski, another first-round pick, or no, was he a second-round pick? He was a second-round pick last year, right? Yeah, that they ended up taking. Weird backstory and everything for this guy, but showed some stuff offensively, like showed the ability to step outside and hit a little bit, playing transition. He's got good movement for his size. Problems. Really bad defensively as well. Gets absolutely bullied as a big man that's not very athletic either, which I kind of go like, okay, there's not a lot of guys like that in the NBA that exist. I'm like, you can't be both like a wimp underneath the rim, and I hate calling people wimps, but man, he just like gets out of the way. Like, guys just move him and he just does not contest it right now. So I challenge that to be better this year, because I'm never going to write people off. I hope it gets better. I really do. Because he's like a solid rebounder and stuff. It's just, it does not contest like anything. So he's not very athletic. He's not going to really create his own shot offensively or anything. It's not a big man that traditionally succeeds in the NBA, or what we see right now. But hey, dude's going to get the opportunity to play this year. I mean, why not, right? So let's get out there and try to amplify some of the things that are good. Bryce Sensabaugh, another guy. really bad defensively, but offensively, pretty damn efficient from everywhere, whether it's at the free throw line, he's really good from beyond the arc or whatever. The playmaking's a little bit like, meh. It's not bad, though. It's kind of interesting, but man, defensively, again, it is rough for the wing, but there's not a lot of guys at his position on this team that are going to take his minutes away. This is the year to figure it out for him, so let's get him out on the court and see if we can't get something going, because there's at least something there offensively. And then finally, Isaiah Collier. Oh boy, this guy was statistically like the second worst NBA player for most of the season, and then he got in the games a little bit more, and we saw some crazy stat lines. This guy would walk away with like 20 points, 11 assists, 9 turnovers, and you were just like, what the fuck did he just do out there? And you're like, everything. He's just running around doing whatever. So while he's not a very good passer, despite having high assist numbers, he's just kind of throwing the ball around, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Dude doesn't really understand the complexities of basketball at all right now, but really intriguing physical specimen, if nothing else, that, hey, we're going to throw him out there this year because we don't have a lot of other options, and we're going to see what happens. But, like, y'all got to see this. Like, just take a look at his numbers from last year. So, like, here's Isaiah Collier. He's 97th percentile in assist percentage and 1st percentile in turnovers. So, like, dude is moving the basketball around. It's just it's literally 50-50 going to either his teammate for a bucket or to the other team in a turnover. It's insane. And again, defensively, not that great, terribly inefficient, kind of everywhere on the basketball court, but hey, we're going to see, right? We're a young team. Let's try to figure it out. And then again, we got $10 million here for Jordan Clarkson. So now that you kind of understand the roster, let's talk more about the depth chart, because that's where you go, AVC, oh my God, I want Lauri Markkanen to play the small forward because on NBA 2K they said that's what he plays. Okay, Billy, guess what? Ugh, God, I fucking hate you, Billy. That's all I have to say. This is kind of what I'm envisioning for a depth chart as of right now. It's a little bit rough at the guard position between George, Collier, and then like Walter Clayton, who I honestly might expect to be better than the other two. But it's not the greatest rotation here. That's going to limit this team a lot, honestly. But hey, they're going to get some minutes, and somebody's got to come out of this showing something. Again, Keontae George has shown a decent amount so far if we can get anything defensively out of him. Bryce Sensabaugh, he's going to get a chance to play for sure there. Ace, obviously clear starter this year. I would expect him to kind of be the second leading scorer on this team. He'll get all the shot attempts that he wants. Even if it's not the most efficient this year, let's just get the shots up. You got Lowry here and kind of at this like forward position here, which by the way, these two positions are forwards. I know I name these what they are, but in the NBA, we don't look at them that way. We have guards. These are guards, right? This is how NBA coaches talk about things. We have wings. These are wings. We have forwards. These are forwards. And then we have bigs. These are bigs right here. And so we don't say like, oh, this guy's a power forward. We go, no, this guy's a big. We want to run a 2 big lineup. We want to run a 1 big, 3 wing lineup or something like that. That's how we talk about things. So don't be like, AVC, Kyle Anderson can't play the small forward, or KJ Martin should be a power forward. You're an idiot. You're worried about stupid things. I understand that that's one of the 3 things you can control on your little NBA 2K joystick or whatever, but shut the fuck up. The adults are talking. But anyway, you guys said you wanted more of this. You wanted more of my AVC voice banter. So there you go. So it's not the greatest roster in the world. It really isn't. But we're going to get some young guys out there. We're going to see what's going to happen. Let's talk about salary cap implications for this team. With rebuilding teams, you expect the payroll to be pretty low, and this one is. For those new to the channel, there's 4 levels to the NBA salary cap, and I'm just going to give you a brief explanation as to all of these. First, you have the cap line itself. Once you cross this, which they're $2.5 million away from it right now, you can only re-sign your own players to anything more than a minimum contract. Pretty simple. The luxury tax line, this is the scary one. They're $35 million away from that one, so we're not touching that this year, most likely. Once you cross this one, meaning this would hit 0, your team gets way more expensive to run, and every consecutive year you're in there, it gets more and more expensive. That's why you see teams like the Celtics and the Heat having to sell some players. Then we have the aprons. These are newer to the NBA, added to kind of increase competitiveness, and so far it's worked pretty well. New teams keep on winning the finals at all times, which is kind of cool. But basically, these aprons, once you cross into them, it just gets harder and harder to make moves. When you get into the first apron, which if you want to read all the different things here, you certainly can. I've got them on screen. You can pause. It just gets harder to make certain trades, sign people, use exceptions, do all those things. Then you get to the second apron. That's when the the NBA really starts to choke you out, and they're like, you can't do this, you can't do this. The only way you can go from here is down. You just have to blow your team up, basically. So that's kind of how that all works. The Jazz obviously have quite a bit of financial flexibility. We definitely want to try to buy up some bad contracts this year because we have plenty of space before we hit the luxury tax. So if we can accumulate some draft picks or maybe some young players that way, that would be an ideal way to go about things. Because when we look at our draft pick situation, it's not bad. Like, it's not bad at all for where we want to be. We've obviously got like some of our own picks. We've got a couple picks coming over the next couple years that come from other people, but we could certainly increase this, right? We could totally get a little bit higher. It's not a complete surplus like you see out of like OKC. Washington's been building themselves up pretty good. Brooklyn's got a lot of them. Some of these other rebuilding teams right now, like we probably want to catch back up. So if we could buy a couple other bad contracts, get a couple more draft picks, I think that could be a valuable thing for the Jazz to kind of play a role in the basketball economy this year, because there's only so many teams that can absorb salary cap right now, and the Jazz are one of them. So with all that being said, let's talk about trades and kind of where we want to go with things. I'm thinking we're not necessarily trying to add talent or anything. We probably just want to spend the trade portion of this video looking for a couple bad contracts that maybe we could slurp up and take some draft picks with us. Right, so let's try to figure out how we can do that. Alrighty, y'all, and that brings us back here to Fanspo. Fanspo, for those of you that don't know, is this really cool website where you can do like mock trades, mock drafts, all these other fun things. I'm not sponsored or whatever, but I just like the website. The UI is really great, and I know how hard it is to build these things. Like, I really do. Fanspo's awesome. They haven't updated many things yet, which is a little bit frustrating. We wish that they would, so that we could actually use it for some of these activities or whatever. And Fanspo, I know you don't ask for any money or anything, so I know you don't got all the time in the world for it, but it'd be great if you could update it. Our basketball sweats want to play around. So we're going to use Spot Track. Spot Track has their own little like beta thing that they're messing around with. It doesn't completely work as functionally, and it's not quite as smooth as Fanspo is, but it's something that can kind of help us work through what we're trying to do right now. It hasn't worked in previous videos exactly how we want it, but it's something. So this is what we're looking at now. We're trying to find some contracts that we could slurp up and turn into something, right? I know that there was like some Paul George, Lowry marketing things at some point. I don't think you need to do anything like that yet. I just don't. So I'm just literally scrolling through to try to find contracts that, and by the way, these aren't even all up to date. Like there's not a great like repository of like contract details or whatever that are easy to scrape and for me to look through. So just take that as you will. Like a DeJounte Murray contract, a Terry Rozier. That's a bad contract that we could slurp up already. Did we already do like I feel like we did that in the last video, didn't we? We kind of did something like this where we're the Utah Jazz, right? We go call up the Miami Heat. We're like, all right, you don't want to pay Terry Rozier. We understand that. That's cool. We got you. So guess what? Terry Rozier, you're coming to Utah, right? What are we sending over to you guys? What do you kind of want from us? We can give you another center. There you go. You want this? How does this trade work? This trade works in and of itself. So you attach like a little draft picky to this, right? Give us like this little second round pick or something like that. We'll take on Terry Rozier for the year. Just give us another little second right here, and like we can make this deal work, because we don't need Jusuf Nurkic on this team. Y'all could use a reserve big on the team, and look, you'd rather have $19 million of Nurkic than $26 million of Terry Rozier, who you're just not going to play this year anyway. So something like that is something we can do. Again, this is our role in the economy at this point, is we're helping teams just get off of salary. We're taking draft assets back. We're probably the third team in some 3-team trades of bigger deals that are going down. So just think of things like that, right? Who else could we slurp up that teams don't necessarily want it? I'm sorry I keep using the term slurp, but that's just kind of how I view it. Like Zach Collins, he's probably just gonna wear his contract out there. Like, could we take a Patrick Williams from Chicago somehow? Do we want Patrick Williams from Chicago somehow? Probably not, right? Probably not. And are the Bulls going to attach a draft pick to move him? They very well could, but I don't think that they need to. Keldon Johnson, That's an interesting young player. That he's not that young anymore, is he? Let's kind of select some new teams here. So let me go Jazz, Spurs. Let's just say they don't really want Keldon Johnson on the team no more, just because he's not that necessary, and you'd rather kind of free up some of the space. So Keldon Johnson, we're gonna send him over to Utah, right? What do they want from us? Because how much money was he was $17-ish million. Who could we send them back for cheaper or something? We could send them Kenyon Martin Jr. and then they could non-guarantee him or whatever, right? So this trade should work. No, it still fails? You're over by 1.2. Oh, damn, I figured it was close. Okay, fair enough. My bad. We can also send you... I'd give you Isaiah Collier. We'll give you Svi as well. There you go. You want Svi? You want some Svi? There you go. So we do something like this. We take on Keldon Johnson, who honestly, we're probably just happy to have on the team. He's a guy that we can experiment with a little bit. We don't necessarily need these dudes, but you know what, Spurs? Y'all got some things on here. Y'all got to free yourselves up cap-wise, and the Spurs probably don't have to do this because they're not in cap hell and necessarily trying to win anyway, so I probably don't need to explore this scenario quite anymore, but it's an option. It's an option. Jonathan Isaac. No, they love him in Orlando. They really do. They really do. Who else could we go after? Corey Kispert. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. I don't know. What other good teams are there where they could get rid of a player or two because they need the cap space or whatever. Like, it's probably the Lakers, right? Lakers are certainly a team that, like, look, they just need some help, right? So let's go try and help the Lakers out with something like, hey, we get it, y'all trying to win with Luka. Remember, we helped you get Luka, remember? So let's help you out again. You got some bad contracts on the team. Maxi Kleber, we love white guys in Utah. Let's send them over here. I make the white guys in Utah joke all the time, and I'm not going to stop. I know that some people in the comments get all prissy and pearl clutchy about that shit. Guess what? Tough shit. Click on a different video. Shut the fuck up. All right, who we sending over for like a Maxi Kleber or something like that? What are we giving y'all? We could send Kevin Love over. I know that it's not necessarily going to work because of this aggregation thing that they have on here. Basically, like, it's true, you can't put Kevin Love with another player right now because he was recently traded there, but this trade would happen like later in the season or something like that. So if let's just say we moved Kevin Love over here, we totally could, and we maybe send somebody else over, like a Svi Mikhailuk or something like that. I know it's not going to let me right now, but we could potentially do something like that. We could find a way to make it work. Like, again, we send you over like a Kenyon Martin or something. You can just cut him at any point. It's not really a big deal. So we could find a way to help them move off of a Maxi Kleber, Gabe Vincent, things like that. But you guys kind of get the point, right? There's certain ways that we can acquire a couple draft picks here and there, take on some money that's not going to really matter to us all that much right now, and that's the role that we're going to play this year. We don't need to make any like winning moves or anything. I wouldn't mind getting like a more veteran guard on this team. That's actually why I wouldn't mind the Terry Rozier deal at all, but hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. So with kind of all of that being said, I think the trade portion of this is probably good. I think you guys kind of understand the role of us. Let's kind of move on to some of the rotational stuff. Alrighty, rotation question mark. If you guys have watched my videos up to this point, you guys know what I mean when I say rotation question mark. It basically just says, like, look, I'm not in practice with these guys. I've done enough like professional coaching and stuff to know that if you're not in the camps with them, you're not with them every day, you're just not going to completely know where to play these guys or whatever. And these minutes are merely estimates. There's going to be nights where Lauri Markkanen's playing 36 minutes a night. There's some where he's going to play 25. That's just how it is. And these are just averages that I kind of think it'll work out to be. You're also going to notice these EPM weighted minutes right here. So all these EPM numbers you saw over here, we're now weighting them based on how many minutes that people are playing. And if you're a rookie, you just kind of get a 0, unfortunately. And so that brings your team's score down because, look, it's riskier to play rookies. It just is. We don't know anything about them. They could completely flounder in the NBA. It just kind of is what it is. So take that kind of as you will. They've got 2 rookies in their rotation, at least what I've got in their rotation. So their scores are low. And look, they're not a very good basketball team either. So their scores are going to be low. You can kind of see all the math going on right here. But so I got Collier playing like 26, 27 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the year Walter Clayton's playing more than him. But to start the year, look, he's played in NBA basketball and Clayton hasn't. So this is kind of how I'm viewing it. I think you got to get Keontae out there quite a bit. Again, the offense is pretty good for him, and he's probably the second most logical scorer on the team outside of Lowry. I mean, it's probably going to be Ace, but Keontae's actually played NBA basketball for a couple of years, right? Again, so need him out there. We need Ace out there as much as possible. That's the main building block we have on the team right now. Lowry's best player on the team. He's going to get this many minutes. Walker Kessler, want him out there a good amount. Kyle Filipowski, a guy that's at least shown some NBA level stuff. Let's get him out there some more. We said Bryce Sensabaugh. This is the year. Let's figure out if this guy's going to be a long-term rotational piece for us. Walter Clayton, a guy that I think is pretty promising, and the really only other ball handler we got on the team outside of Collier and George. So he just gets to play, and that's great for the young fella. And then I do have Nurkic out here and Georges Niang, so it's kind of a weird rotation with all these kind of different forwards and bigs or whatever. But look, that's kind of the team that you got, because after that, I mean, I didn't even fill in the rest of it, it looks like. But that's when you start going like, okay, are we going to get Taylor Hendricks out there? I mean, you hope so, but it's going to be hard to tell. Guys like Niang, they're not going to play. Maybe you don't play Nurkic if he's just not looking like he's in shape or whatever. Svi Mikhailuk and Cody Williams are other guys that you throw in maybe at some point, but Cody Williams is probably really going to have to earn it. Honestly, move all of these guys down just for Kyle Anderson, right? He's probably more likely to play than some of the other ones. And who's the other person that I'm missing here? And so KJ Martin, we'll just say, because I have to imagine Kevin Love will maybe be gone before even KJ will. But yeah, it's not a sexy rotation. There's young guys we want to get on the court, and so if you want to prioritize getting Taylor Hendricks out there, totally get it. I think it'll be hard to keep some of these guys off the court over him, but I'm supportive of it if you want to, because I don't think these guys are critical to anything. And Cody Williams, it's going to be hard for you to find some minutes, because I'd rather see Bryce Sensabaugh out there right now. But it doesn't mean we're giving up on you, man. We just got to get you some burns somewhere. Maybe it's in the G League this year. But yeah, so that's my idea for the rotations. Now let's go over to lineups. These are basically ideas that I have for like different rotational times in a game that I just kind of want to see this team experiment with. First one I have is trying, meaning we are trying to win a basketball game right now. Who are we throwing in the game? I got Keontae George running the one. He's probably our most reliable kind of point guard option at this point. Ace Bailey, because again, we want him out there. Lowry Markkanen. Then we got Georges Niang. He's more of a vet. He's been more of a proven, experienced player with Walker Kessler. This is we're trying to win a basketball game lineup, because you got to have stuff like this. It's close game, right? You got to get some wins to get some wins eventually as a team. So that's what we're doing. Then we have the jumbo lineup right here, which is pretty similar to the last one, except we've thrown Kyle Filipowski in there because we think maybe he could play. It's like some forward type stuff maybe at some point. So this is a big ass lineup. I mean, Keontae George is like 6'4", 6'5". You got 6'9", 6'10". AVC, he's 6'7". Shut up, Billy. Lowry Markkanen, obviously kind of a 7-footer. Kyle Filipowski, like 6'10", 6'11". Walker Kessler, above 7 foot. Big ass team that you can do some cool things with. And actually, like both the Lowry Markkanen and Kyle Filipowski, not too bad in transition either. So you might be able to get going. And then we have the pace lineup right here, which is Isaiah Collier, plays with a ton of pace. Walter Clayton has been known to play with that. Sensabaugh can get out and move, and Filipowski, which we've seen. And then I just threw Nurkic out there because I'm like, okay, he will not play with any pace whatsoever, Nurkic, but somebody's got to get a fucking rebound to actually start it, and you don't have anybody out there that necessarily can. So I threw Nurkic out there for that reason exactly. That's just kind of what I'm thinking with this group in general. Again, not the sexiest lineups of all time. Their minutes weighted one right here, actually not that bad offensively, as you would expect, pretty bad defensively. And that's even with like Walker Kessler out there and his numbers. And again, Ace Bailey weighing things down because we just don't have data on him. But hey, this is what you got, man. This is what you got. It's a rebuilding team. What do you want from me? With all that being said, that's rotational stuff that I have for the Jazz. Let's move on to the standings prediction. Alrighty, y'all. You guys know how this works. I basically click a button. They're going to appear on here where I think the Jazz will finish off this regular season. I know we've been kind of shitting on the Jazz or whatever this whole video, so I'm not going to make you wait any longer. This is my drum roll or whatever. I got them finishing dead last again. I think they're going to be pretty rough. Man, look at the numbers, man. Look at the numbers. These motherfuckers stink. I'm sorry. They're not very good. That's okay. They're rebuilding. We got Ace now, so we got something that we're rooting for. We got a couple solid players around him. We got some guys to watch. I think it'll be interesting to watch this year. Like, I like watching young teams try to figure it out or whatever and kind of see where they're going long term. I think that's great. So I'm still excited to watch them, but I think they're going to be pretty dog doo-doo this next year. But hey, you get one of the top guys in the draft next year, whoever that may be, you partner them up with Ace. Now you got an interesting foundation. If you can find like one other person in this roster, right? You've just find one other person, because you already got Walker, right? Walker's here for the long run. You're good. Lowry's going to be around for a couple more years still to kind of help you with this rebuild. So if you can just find one other guy that can be like somewhat of a guy for you on this team, then you got a good center. You hopefully got a good scorer long term, whoever you get next year, and then just like one other of these like dudes or whatever, just like one of these other dudes. You're okay then. You're okay. Then it doesn't get then it's not so hard anymore. But hey, that's kind of the hope with this group. As of right now, they probably gonna be a little dog doo-doo this year, but that's okay. That's okay. Somebody's gotta be. And that's kind of where I got the Jazz. But I'm curious to hear your guys' opinions now. Even though I shit on them sometimes, I do want to hear your opinions, especially when they're well thought out and not full of a ton of spelling errors. Our generation's getting dumber and dumber with how they type on the internet. But anyway, I really do appreciate you guys for choosing me for your season preview. Getting ready to cover my third season on YouTube of the NBA. It's exciting stuff, but with all that being said, let's move on to the comments of the video. Alrighty, y'all. Comment of the video is coming from our Philadelphia 76ers season preview video. Again, go watch it. The video hasn't been performing that great so far, but again, it's the dead point of the season. I kind of expected it, but go show these videos some love so that I know if you guys want me to do this again next year. It's my second season doing it. Got to give it the old college try. But the comment of the video is coming from Mission001 here that said, do you think they'll keep that open roster spot open regardless of what happens? If you think they will fill it with a free agent, who do you think it'll be and why? Loving the content as always. First of all, thank you. That is very nice to say. There's a lot of nice comments on here of people just being excited about the season preview being back and us being back on the spreadsheets, and a couple AVC stuff, which is always really funny. But basically, I responded to this saying like, yeah, no, well, first of all, thank you for liking it, right? But I do think that they're going to keep that open roster spot for the time being, just because it gives you a little bit more flexibility to make some deals. Trades are so hard to make in the NBA now, and having an open roster spot does help, not only with just your finances, right, but just having the ability to take on more different variables or whatever in the deal. So I think unless a perfect person becomes available, which isn't on the market right now for Philly, I think you just hold that spot open. But regardless, I'm glad that you asked a really well and thought out, or a well-written and thought-out question, so thank you very much for that. So yeah, shout out to everyone here in the comment section. It's really, really awesome. If you want to have more interesting basketball conversations, go join the Discord here. Link is in the description. It's free, and again, that's how you can get access to the spreadsheet here and make some of your own stuff, learn how spreadsheets work. It's a great skill. It'll help you get a job someday. I promise you it actually will. But yeah, no, I appreciate you guys as always, and when is this going out? Thursday? Hey, one more day this week. That's all you have to get through, and then we're back to the weekend. But as always, I appreciate it, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much. Bye.